Abdul Rahman. I'm a lecturer at a public university in Kenya. I deliver lectures in computing and informatics. In our last lesson, we discussed about array of pointers, and we have defined that an array of a pointer, it is a particular array that points to another addresses of a collection of elements. In today's session, we are going to answer what is a double pointer or a pointer to pointer array. So in that particular journey, we are going to find out what is the definition of a double pointer, what is the syntax, and finally we are going to go to Dev C++ and try to implement this particular concept. So what is a double pointer? A double pointer, as its name actually suggests, actually is a pointer to pointer array. So basically what it means by saying it is a pointer to pointer array. So basically what we are saying here, it is actually a pointer that holds an address of another pointer. So here we have got a pointer holding an address of another pointer, and into that this second pointer should actually store the address of the first pointer, and which in turn stores the address of a particular variable. So let's try to conceptualize this particular statement. If we have two pointers, and that will be P1 and a second pointer called P2, and then we have got a variable here. Therefore, this particular P1, first of all, has got an address. So maybe we'll call it an address 1, and this will have an address 2, and this will have an address 3. So the concept is very simple. This P1 or what you call a pointer 1 will hold an address of P2. So here basically you will have this particular address P2, and here basically this P2 will hold an address of P1. So here we'll have our address 3. So this is address 3. So by extension, this address 3, if it has got some value, therefore P2 can actually hold the value here, and P1 can hold up the value here. So this one actually takes us to the syntax. So how do we define what you call a double pointer? So it's very simple. We'll have our data type here, and into our data type we'll have the pointer operator, double of them, 2 of them, and then here basically we'll have the pointer name. So this will be a definition of it. So let's try to conceptualize the same. Let's take for example, here I'll have my int double pointer, let's say P1, and then I'll have my usual pointer, and I say it is actually P2, and then I'll have my num, and maybe I'll give it up the value of 20. So let us try to conceptualize the same and see what will happen. So here we have two pointers, that is a double pointer, we have a normal pointer, and here we have a normal variable. This normal variable, basically we call it num, and we give it the value of 20. And this p2, which is actually a normal pointer, will have a particular address, maybe 224, and this p1, which is a double pointer, also will have a particular address, maybe 220, and even our normal variable will have an address, maybe 2028. Now, this is actually what happens. This particular pointer, which is double pointer, will hold this particular address. So this particular address will be held by the double pointer 224, and this particular address of the num will be held by our normal pointer. So here we'll have 228, and by extension, actually p28 can hold this particular value 20, and our double pointer also can access this particular value, which is 20. So basically this is a concept of pointer to pointer, pointing to another pointer, and then another pointer, the value of a normal variable actually can be accessed by double pointer. So in that particular concept, let's try to demonstrate it in Dev C++. So here basically we'll say that here I'll have my int num, and I'll give it the value of 20, and then I'll have my two pointers. So I'll have got my double pointer, which I'll call it p1, and then I'll have my normal pointer, which I'll call p2. And then basically here what I'll do, I'll take up my p2 and assign it to the address of num. After doing that, I'll take up my p1, which is a double pointer, and assign it to the address of the normal pointer, which is p2. And then basically what I'll be doing, just be printing. So I'll have my printf, and in that particular order I'll have my printf, and I'll try to access all the addresses. So that will be address, and we'll have the address of num, which will be actually %u, and then I'll have my tab, and then from there I'll have the address that will be %u, and then I'll have another tab. I'll have the address of p1, so the address of p1, which should be equal to %u, and then I'll have my tab, and then basically I'll have my p2, and I'll have %u, and then I'll have all my variables. So from here I want to access the address of num, so that will be the address of num, and then also I want to access the address of p1, and finally I want to access the address of p2. So basically that will print up all the addresses of our three variables, that is the double variable, the double pointer, and the normal pointer, and then our normal variable. So our second printf, we want to access the values. So here we are accessing up the values. So basically what you're going to say, it is the values. We are getting up the values of num, which should be equal to, this time it is actually %d, and we are having up our tab, and then we've got up a value of p1, which is %d now, because it's the value, and then we are having up our tab, and then the value of p2, which is %d, and onto that we are passing on our num, we are passing on our double pointer, and we are passing on our normal pointer. So basically these two print statements will print up the addresses and the value. So now let us execute and see what is the output of this particular program. Okay, when execute, we'll see actually the output. It is that we have got our num address finishing up with 28, and then our our p1, that is normal pointer, finishing up with 216, and our p2 finishing up with 08. And then we have now our value for num, it is 20, and our value for p1 it is 20, and our value for p2 it is 20. We have seen that actually by extension that we have our double pointer and our pointer 2 actually all joining up to the value of the num. So that one actually makes up the end of this particular session, and in our next session we are going to talk about pointer to function. However, don't forget to subscribe into our next videos, and for now I say bye.